Wipro, especially the buyback announcement, it's coming at 9,500 crore, which is fairly in line with what most of the analysts were working with. Like few of the analysts were working with this number. 9,500 crore is the buyback at a buyback price of 400 rupees per share. This is what we are picking up from the agencies right now. In fact, if you look at Wipro, the last two buybacks were in the range of 10,500 to 11,000 crore, and I would say that this buyback amount of 9,500 crore is fairly in line with our estimates as well overall. If you're looking at the consolidated revenue for Wipro, well, on the consolidated front, 1,505 crore is the revenue that we are seeing, which is largely in line with what we were expecting. Consolidated PAT of 2484 crore is again largely in line with what we were expecting. So if you look at our own expectations, we were working with a consolidated PAT of 2400 crore, and now it's coming at 2484 crore. Even in terms of the IT services, there's not much of a difference versus what we were expecting. IT services revenue has come in at 147.68 crore, which is slightly above our expectation, around 1%. But broadly, I guess the numbers seem to be fairly in line, I would say. Again, if you look at the kind of details, I'm still trying to pull up more details from the press release. The numbers on the face of it look okay.
Talking about the management commentary, there's a quote coming in from the CEO and MD, Thierry Delaporte, and he's saying that we had an excellent growth in terms of revenues as well as expansion of margins and robust cash generation in the quarter gone by. He's saying that I'm very excited about the opportunities that are ahead of us and encouraged by the acceleration in business momentum we've seen this quarter. Our strategy, he goes on to say, is to focus on growth in prioritized sectors and markets led by vertical solutions offerings. Poonam is back with us. Poonam, some more numbers that you're picking up?
Oh yes, Aisha, let's look at the IT services. It seems the entire IT services segment has really done well for Wipro. IT services revenue in constant currency terms, it has increased by 2% quarter on quarter, Aisha. And you know that we were working with a number of 1.7%. In fact, the dollar revenue growth also for the IT services segment has been at 3.7% quarter on quarter. We were working with revenue growth of IT services at 2.4%. So I would say on the IT services front, it's a good number. IT services EBIT margin has been at 19.2%, while the growth or the expansion in margins is at 20 bips on a sequential basis. It's slightly lower than what we were expecting. So 19.6% is what we were expecting in terms of the EBIT margin. EBIT margin now for IT services has come in at 19.2%. On the overall income front, also if you look at the numbers, it's at 2470 crore there in terms of the profitability number. In fact, as I said, the operating cash flow also has been fairly good, 179% of the net income. CEO and MD states that we had an excellent quarter with growth in revenues, expansion of margins, and robust cash generation. And I'm very excited about the opportunities that are ahead of us, and encouraged by the acceleration in business momentum we have seen in this quarter. Our strategy is to focus on growth in prioritized sectors and markets led by vertical solution offerings. So, good going, Aisha, so far in terms of the IT revenue front. Margins, although have expanded 20 bips, is slightly lower than our expectations. This is for the IT services. They're also, Aisha, they're also telling about their outlook for the third quarter. They are giving the guidance for the third quarter. They state that we expect revenue for our IT services business to be in the range of $2,022 million to $2,062 million. This is translating into a sequential growth of 1.5% to 3.5% for the IT services. Do note that I had one of the analysts who was expecting the revenue growth guidance for the IT services in the range of 0 to 2%, and this guidance coming in from the management of 1.5% to 3.5% quarter on quarter for IT services seems to be good. So I guess we should be definitely keeping a note of this guidance, and we should be asking more in terms of how do the various analysts read into this guidance. They are also stating that Wipro has continued its deal momentum and they have won strong large deals. Although I'm still checking out if there is any number in terms of the large deals, but so far the guidance on the IT services seems good.